talking about like my attempt at a theory of everything, right? I came to this like conclusion basically that black holes had to form first, right? Because um, since there was so much energy and there's so much going on, right? Nothing else was stable enough to basically establish in, and like there was no good reason to consolidate and to form into stars or planets or anything, right? Because why would you consolidate into a single point when there's just energy everywhere, right? There's no like why would you limit yourself, right, when there's just so much out there, right? And I think this is really interesting because there's so many parallels that you could probably draw with this, which is another reason why I like it so much. But the main one that I wanted to highlight here is that, like, what I think is interesting because the thought of, why is there so much suffering and why, in my opinion, why are corporations being so stupid? Like, why does it seem like the world is being so dumb and we're so profit driven and so, like, not very forward thinking? It almost seems like it's just like you just look at the systems we have in place right now and it looks so dumb. It's like, why, like, are you not thinking? Like, are we not thinking here? And I think the reality is that no. No, we're really not thinking because the future is not what's important right now. What's right now is what's important. And me, I'm important, not the future, right? And so I thought this was interesting, but I think that this is just the natural behavior of things, right? It's not their fault. This is just the natural course of our reality, of our universe, right? Black holes were the first things to form, right? Because there was no good reason to consolidate energy, right? But when enough energy gets compacted together, you start to get like, that's when boom, okay, a black hole forms, right? And then since this black hole forms, it starts sucking in everything around it. And as it sucks in everything around it, right, that's when you start reducing the amount of energy available. And that's when it starts to become favorable to start clumping together to conserve energy. And that's when stars and galaxies started forming, right? The black holes kind of reduced the energy so that everything was kind of forced into this consolidation. And this consolidation just continued and continued and continued, right? And over time, now it's just very cold and it's very, empty in space because all of this energy has consolidated, right? Because it had to, right? Because now there's not just energy everywhere, right? So we have to consolidate and conserve our energy in order to, maintain ourselves and survive and continue. Otherwise, we'll all just decay and die, right? Thinking from the particles and the atoms perspective, of course, not us, right? So and so that's actually what I want to tie in here, right? So what I think is interesting is that this actually correlates really well, right? So we cannot grow and evolve as a people until resources are constrained and the state of the world is quite cold. This ties back to the evolution of our world and is only natural as there is no need to change when the resources, space, and energy is so abundant. Now that the black holes have formed, though, in the development of corporations and governments, resources are fewer and it is more favorable to band together and form stability to conserve energy and maintain structures. It is time for the stars to form and shine. The parallels to the physical world are no coincidence. We are what we come from. And so that's just a kind of a tie into one, the universe, and also two, that we, on pretty much every atom that makes us up and makes up our planet and everything comes from stars. But I think that this is great because, you always say like, oh, be the light in the world, shine and stuff. And it's like, yeah, like stars, that's like stars came after black holes. And that makes sense, right? And it's like, be the light in the world because we're gonna shine like like stars. And what I mean by like consolidation and stability is like we start to form communities and sustainable like ways of living and systems and stuff for, you know, keeping the resources that we have. Like now resources are starting to get scarcer and scarcer. It's harder and harder to get, you know, food and water and just anything really, right? So it's getting harder and harder to get these things because, you know, greedy corporations and, you know, whatever, what be it, right, have formed, right? They established and they started sucking in all of these resources, right? And now, because before there was just plenty of resources everywhere, no one cared, right? Why care about the environment? It's not like we're gonna ever run out of resources, right? So let's just do whatever we want and everything's fine. Nothing matters, right? But now we're starting to run lower and lower on resources, and it's starting to build more and more tension because people are now starting to have to kind of compete for resources, right? And because resources are getting scarcer and scarcer, now it's more favorable to start kind of banding together, and instead of relying on like these black holes have formed, but now we're going to kind of do our own thing and form into our own you know, systems and communities to help sustain ourselves. And yeah, there's the black hole that's there, right? And like the black hole has caused this, right? But we can now kind of, now there's incentive, now there's a reason to create this, right? And because of this, you know, it builds complexity. And, you know, the entire universe was basically, you know, according to what we believe, was just hydrogen and helium, right? And because stars formed, we got so much complexity, and things just have built and built farther from there. Because black holes technically got it going, but black holes are not the ones that are creating all of this complexity, right? Because anything that goes into a black hole is not coming out, right? And so they're depleting, like they're still depleting our everything, but so much complexity and evolution has come from stars forming, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And so, as sad as it is, you know, realistically, like this is kind of the course of action that is natural and takes place, but now is the time for truly amazing things to potentially happen, right? And I think that this is awesome. And, you know, I can see it. I see it more and more. Like, there's more and more people starting to realize, like, hey, like, you know, things need to change because it's not looking good. And I really like that. I mean, I want to be a part of it. And I think it's just the natural course of things. And is it like gonna be anything crazy? I mean, these are, it's gonna be rough at the beginning, right? There's not gonna be a whole lot there, but I think this process has already started. Right, we had protostars and stuff, in which have started to form, but we're not really anything special yet. And so I think that the best is yet to come. Unfortunately, I don't know how this is going to play out, right? Because I don't know exactly the course of universal, you know, formation, right? I don't know how this evolutionary period plays out. Like, is it super chaotic and turbulent, and stars were forming and getting destroyed, like just constantly, like rapidly all the time? I don't know, right? Because I'm basing this relationship off of physical principles in a time long past that we didn't see, right? So I don't. I'm running off like just the faintest whispers, right? But I mean, there's all like, we know what the end game ends up being. Like, we know what the eventual, we know what the long game looks like, right? So maybe in the short term it's going to be rough and we may not make it, right? But we know that stars in the future do, right? And we know that the beautiful worlds will be created from what we start, right? And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have much more else to say with that. I don't know. It's time for the stars to shine. Peace out.